back in the old days when it was a very low level of entry, wasn't there? Because there was no regulation and you could make huge margins. I guess you can give everybody all the information now because the odds of them actually not running away screaming after a few months of warranty claims is very low, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is what I always think about, like the warranties, or thinking about like say like finance commissions. Someone get funny about, say, like the measly finance commissions that we get these days. Let's say 300 quid or something on a car that was quite expensive for me. Maybe other people got different deals or whatever. But it's like the customer they don't. But let's say if someone in the comments of a video says, "Oh, we're making 300 quid for nothing," blah blah blah. It's like, would you then put yourself through all the extra stress and like liability for having done the deal via finance? So they're going to come back at 14 months down the line and try and put this car back into you after it's got another like 20,000 miles on it. Would you do that for 300 quid? Yeah. You wouldn't, so just shut up.
I love that, yeah. If you sold it off your driveway and you got the opportunity to get another 300 quid, but you're liable for it for anywhere actually up to 5 years, theoretically, isn't it? Would you do it for an extra 300 quid? You'd be like, not a chance. Not a chance.
Exactly. They just don't see it.
Well, it's exactly why I'm happy to hand back my... I mean, obviously I don't do the volume of sales to really merit it either, but that's why I'm happy to hand back my license, because I wouldn't do it for the extra 300 quid myself.
The job would be the best job in the world, wouldn't it, if it wasn't for cars or customers?
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get told off in the comments for moaning, and this is getting boring because all it is dealers moaning. But not really moaning, because we all love the job. We've all got the opportunity. The good thing about cars is there's probably a lot of collateral and all the stock. So if we had another idea, we could stop and do it. I could probably go and get some kind of job in some kind of, I don't know, managing a porter cabin company or something, and maybe make more money than I do now currently. And I'd have a nice big house because of all the money I've taken out of the stock. But we do love it for whatever reason. So.
Yeah, it's like I said in a video I put out last night. I forget how I started the day out, but I went to look at a Rolls Royce, a camper van, and a Mercedes. Then I drove off and met a mate and took a car off him and came back, and then came to yours and picked up a couple of cheap old bangers. I said at the end of the video, it beats fucking sitting behind a desk with a pen, doesn't it? That's for damn sure. Just pushing some paper around. It's out and about doing different things, seeing different people, doing different deals. And I don't think, to be honest, this podcast is for consumers. If you're upset about dealers whinging, don't want the podcast. This deal is probably for podcasts. Like you said earlier, it's a community of dealers chatting about how business works, how we make our business work, what ideas we've got, that kind of thing, and sharing a bit of the burden of the stresses that can come along with it.
And a massive thank you to everyone who does watch and listen, because the amount of times I get messages on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, just like, I love the podcast. I thought it would be interesting. I thought people would like it because I used to love other podcasts that I've listened to. But the amount of people who do love it, and it's just like, again, like you said, Stephen, it's like community. Like the job's become more insular with more of the auctions closing down and whatever. In a sense, you can do it more online. But again, a lot of people aren't online saying, "Oh, I suppose some are, but I'm feeling depressed or whatever, or it's been rubbish, or I got this problem." So yeah, I think a lot of people like hearing us moan, because they're like, "Oh, it's not just me who's having a shit month of it."
I love hearing the 2 years moan. It's great.
Don't worry, you're never going to run out of us moaning. It's only going to get worse, I reckon.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about your oil filter situation, Joe, did we? But I'll leave that to you on another video, because that just cracked me up. Because a lot of time you could only laugh when you share these stories with each other in the WhatsApp group that you'll no doubt added to. Yesterday I was sitting here at absolute hysterics and stuff with Joe dealing with this chap, and you just cannot help but laugh.
I will I'll show you quickly, just for reference now, because I had it up and I just showed it to my mechanic this morning.
I think it's because at the same time I had a chap I sold a car to 12 months ago, saying to me, the fan stopped working in the car. He said, and I know you put a body control unit in it, but I had to have a MAF sensor fitted the other day, and now the heater doesn't work. I'm like, what has that got to do with the body control unit that we put in 12 months ago? That's been absolutely fine for 12 months. So it's just, you're like, just the thought process of something I did 12 months ago that's been absolutely fine is the reason that someone's put a MAF sensor on your engine is now affecting the fan behind your dashboard.
Tell you what, if you sold it on finance, the finance company would say it was something to do with you.
I know. That's, and you've just hit the nail on the head as to why I wouldn't take £300 a deal, even if I was 100%, 100% per car.
This is a picture of like a paper oil filter for an Audi. Is that what you get in a reflection? Oh, that's a bit better. And basically he's saying I'm getting a timing chain rattle on cold start now, and it's because this oil filter that's been taken out after 2,000 miles after we serviced it when we sold it is disintegrating, and it's caused oil starvation and whatever. There's nothing wrong with the car; it drives fine. There's no. He thinks it's got a bit of a rattle on cold start or whatever. But I'm like, unfortunately, it's irritating or whatever. But it's it doesn't cover a rattle. The car works. It's whatever. It's 105,000 mile, 10-year-old Audi S4. But yeah, that is just because that one fin's got a bit of a wobble in it in a paper air filter. That apparently it's disintegrating and it's blocked his engine. And I'm like, no, that's just how some paper air filters look.
You car dealers make too much money on cars, but because there's a wobble on that oil filter, I'd like you to do a $5,000 engine out, chain replacement, back in again, please.
He's ordering another one with the same part number today to take a video of it to show me that it's got completely straight fins, and it's like, well, that one hasn't had 2,000 miles worth of oil through it for a start.
A brand new filter in a box that hasn't got wet with oil is going to look the same as the one you've taken out after 2,000 miles.
That's like testing a new drug, isn't it, on two people? It's like, oh, he had a really bad reaction, but he didn't. And it's like, oh, that explains it then. No, we're talking about like, these mass-produced. It costs them like 30p to make that. They're not all going to be perfect.
And because it's now not perfect, you're the worst human being on planet.
Yeah, your reviews will be terrible now. Yeah.
So now he thinks that if there's a rattle on a cold start, like they'll go, that's because of that filter.
Had his kids in the car when it rattled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the kids have got a phobia of rattles.
Yeah, they're scarred for life now. Scarred for life. And your ill relative in the hospital didn't get a visit because you were too scared to drive it there. And yeah, everything under the sun. It's just pile it up, pile it up, pile it up.
In fact, we're picking up one today because the guy is just being so funny about something. And yeah, he might have listened to this because he was a subscriber. But basically, it was he found some like paint lacquer peel on the bumper of a 10-year-old Jag that was on 60,000 miles because his guy was going to polish it and give it a ceramic coating or whatever. And he's like, oh, well, I want that painted, really, 300 quid. I'm like, sorry, that's how it looked when he bought it.
Can I just stop you there? This was a car he viewed at your site, was it, before purchase?
Yeah, he came and collected it and whatever, I think.
So he took this car away with the lacquer peel that was on it?
But I mean, we're talking like tiny little...
Yeah.
Couple of little bits where it's stone chip and it's just kind of gone away from there. And I was like, unfortunately, that's just how it is, sort of thing. And then kicked off, he's like, my mum's not well, and this is all time I could have spent next to her bedside, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're having your car detailed and whatever. Like, where was your priorities then? That's time you could have. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
You know what it is? It's the only job. It's the only job in the world where if something breaks, you've destroyed the whole life. You've destroyed the whole life. Like if they go to Curry's and buy a brand new telly from Curry's and it comes in the box and it's smashed or it's broken, they wouldn't get on the phone to Curry's and go, I've got to take my mum to hospital. I can't, like all this going on. It's just, they go on, I've got to have to take it back to Curry's. And like,
yeah, they'd be annoyed and they'd probably moan and maybe they'd leave him a bad review, but it wouldn't be like,
yeah,
I'm going to need a replacement brought here right now.
Yeah,
because we won't live if we can't watch TV or yeah.
I've come to the conclusion that what happens is they all really wanted a brand new shiny car on a drive with a brand new number plate, and the fact they haven't been able to do that pisses them off. And when they buy the used one, it's our fault.
Yeah, but I think when somebody buys a car from you, to them it's a new car. Do you know what I mean? It's their new car, but it's a used car. It's done 80,000 miles, Mr. Customer. It's 70 miles an hour. It's got 5,000 components that can break down at any point.
I don't know if we said this on the podcast that we did last week, but there's something on there and we had the same thing. And it's like, yeah, this used car you're buying is full of used parts. They're not new. Do you know what I mean? The car might look really shiny on the outside, but that doesn't mean the turbo hasn't done 70,000 miles and whatever. He's saying, because obviously he's saying to us, oh yeah, I think that's why needs the chain done. I want $4,000 to get the chain done. I'm like, if you want to do some basic maintenance on your own car, that's your own. If you want to do a maintenance scheme on it, the car's working fine. There's no.
I think this is the thing as well, isn't it? If the chain broke and munched the engine within a certain period of time, then you'd be on the hook because it broke. But it hasn't. It's done 70,000 miles and it's got a bit of rattle to it. It could go on. It could go on to 100,000 miles. We can't preventatively replace everything on a vehicle because that's restoring the car, and then you need to give us what it would have been brand new. There's a compromise to buying a used vehicle, and that is it will need replacement parts.
Yeah, when you bought a car that had
some of them will be
104,000
considered
miles on it and it was 10 years old, so that chain, their lifetime. But at some point in that time, it might happen. That's a risk you take when you buy a used car, not a brand new one, isn't it?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like making a used car look fantastic and bringing it up, to as good a spec as I possibly can because I understand if someone comes along to me with £3,000, I want them to be chuffed to bits that that's the budget they've got. They're getting the nicest looking £3,000 car they can. It's been prepped the best. It's got an advisory-free MOT. It's had an oil and filter change on it. I've machine polished the body up. I've done all the blacks. I've replaced the wheel trims, painted behind the wheel trims. It looks $1 million, but it is going to be, it's still like a 2010 car and something may well go wrong on it, and some of the bits that go wrong on it will be fair consumable items for a vehicle of that age. Some bits you wouldn't be expected to, and it is going to prevent you getting to work, so I'll sort it out for you.
But you'll never win. You'll never win with...
No, do you know what, this is one of those things. I was messaging last night doing the emails back because it ended up with me basically, and again because he's a YouTube subscriber, so he's like, can I speak to Joe because he thinks I'm going to be softer about it, and I used to get really wound up, but now I'm just like, it is what it is. If you want to put a claim in, you can. For what? He's like, well, that filter's ruined my car or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but that filter's broken up and it's caused this and caused that, and it's like, well, make a good job convincing someone because that's not the case.
That's an easy one to prove. Pull the sump. If he wants to pay for someone to pull the sump off and find a piece of that filter blocking the strainer, then you go at it, mate. But it's not going to happen, is it? There was a brilliant one yesterday, wasn't there, that we shared on the group? I think it was Umesh was sharing one that he did again the distrust of dealers. He said he'd done an oil and filter change on the car before he went out the door, and the guy's mate didn't believe him because he pulled the dipstick on it and it was dirty. It's a diesel, and they'll get themselves filthy. So he said, "I'll put it on the ramp for you, and we'll do an oil and filter change right in front of you. And if when we do that, we're going to run the engine again and pull the dipstick. And if the oil's dirty again, you're going to pay for the oil and filter change. If it's clean, I'll pay for the oil and filter change." And of course, they changed it on the diesel, ran the engine up to temp, pulled the dipstick, and the oil's black again, isn't it? Because that's what diesels do. And the guy went fair play and paid up. I love that story. I thought it was absolutely brilliant because it's just, again, your mate knows better than this guy who's been in this industry for, how long's Umesh been in the industry for? Flipping forever. He's got fantastic reviews. He's got fantastic customer service. Everybody locally loves him to bits. But your mate, because he pulled a dipstick and it looked dirty, his word's better than yours.
But have you never noticed that, when someone comes to view a car and they bring their mate who he used to be a mechanic or he's got some sort of inkling of how a car works, their job is they'll always find something. That mate will always find something wrong with the car. The best car on planet Earth, but his job, he's there to be a cock. I'm going to find something on this car because I've told my pal that I know everything about cars.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, they if they come to look at a Porsche 911, they'll lift up the bonnet and wonder where the engine is. Do you know what I mean? They don't. Yeah. They haven't got
I was about to say the same thing. It's when they ask you when the timing belt was changed on it and there's a chain engine. That kind of thing is. You're like, right, okay. Let's have a bit of fun here.
I find the same with. It probably doesn't work the same with your kind of setup, Stephen. But if we get someone coming in, they're buying a car for their daughter or their wife. It's like the dad syndrome. They have to have a deal. So even if you have to give them 50 quid off, they're like, yeah, done my job. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, right, see you later, love. And off they bugger and they'll leave the wife. They've done their man bit.
They've done their bit, they go off, yeah. They hold their wife back and drive off normally.
If I'm honest with you, you've just described me in any other situation.
Well done.
I know.
It's a job that no one wants, yeah.